Well, my next guest is a person who has been sharing part of that journey with Tim. Her name is Bramadat, and she is actually very topical. Phil has been working on a project called the Ancient Code, and the Ancient Code is really about what the past can teach us about the present and what perhaps is lagging from the present, which should get re-injected. So, Dawn, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First question, what can the past teach us to the present? What is it that you feel could be better at this moment in time? Because I've been observing you just before the show and over the past few hours, and what I get from you is a very balanced person, like the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, but in the positive sense of the word. What is it that we are lacking as a society?
I don't think we're lacking anything. There's a study that was done, and I wish I could remember the name of the psychologist. She took a pie with a piece cut out of it, and Zygarnik was her name. And she took some monkeys and looked at where the monkeys were focusing their attention. They were looking at the pie. A human being will look at the piece that's missing. And so I don't think there's anything missing in our society. I think that we have within us a whispering, a remembering of oneness, of non-duality. And that is what will always make us feel disgruntled and incomplete until we come to that place of feeling whole. You were speaking previously about conspiracies. I think that conspiracies happen, and there's a proliferation of conspiracy when hierarchy and authority is very strong. And I think what we're going through now is a time when all hierarchical structures are dissolving, be they educational, ecclesiastic, banking, government. Everything that's shaped like this is falling down, right? And I think that this is a time when we can no longer afford to not accept our responsibility for our own lives and beings. That previously we put, we were so busy just surviving, just, you know, eating, making sure the kids are safe and fed.
Job.
Well, even previous to that, actually. We were so busy doing all of that survival business that we put our physical welfare in the hands of doctors or shaman or medicine people, and we put our spiritual welfare in the hands of priests and rabbis. And I think we can't do that anymore. Each one of us is being asked, required, to take responsibility for who we truly are.
So, we're being asked this, how do we progress from there? Because I think that's the challenge. What Tim was describing earlier was this classic stand of us versus them. Them seems to be falling apart.
Hallelujah!
Us seems to be just standing here as well and kind of like admiring the falling apart.
There's no us and them. We learn from, okay, we are created by lineages of ancestors who had specific belief systems that were encoded in their physical bodies. And so we come into this body that's formed by all of the lives and bodies and beliefs of the people before us. We come into that. And then also in the first part of our lives, we're well and properly programmed with what we are supposed to think, what we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do. And then we blithely go on and do that. Except that humanity is just like light. We're particles as well as wave. And so we're not only individuals, we're part of humanity, we're part of the earth, we're part of our human and earth family. And we're all moving, evolving towards, in my belief, towards well, what's called in the Hebrew tradition, tikkun olam. We're repairing the world from the original fall into duality. We're coming back to a place of oneness, that understanding and the ability to perceive oneness. So,
us and them is disappearing.
Exactly, exactly. We learn judgment about the world. A lot of people use judgment in a very positive sense. But when I'm using the word judgment, I mean a barrier that's put up between us and them to make sure that we're safe. Our parents put up a playpen around us. And that playpen is actually more like a picket fence with posts in it, and each one of those is a judgment, okay? So don't pick your nose in public.
Or in front of the television.
That's right. Don't, you know, just to make sure that we inside this playpen are the good and the just and the clean. And on the other side, you've got the unwashed masses. And we just don't want to go there, right? They pray on a different day and they eat other things, and God forbid they marry, you know, whatever. So I think that the job that we have, what is being required of us, is to very carefully look at all the judgments and one by one take out all of these posts. As we do that, the us and them dissolves. The heart opens.
So, is it that all what's needed? Is it just love? Is that all what's needed, or what else is there?
We certainly have heard that a lot, haven't we? And for a long time, and from a lot of people.
So why don't we get a message?
Well, because we're not there yet. We are being required in the most beautiful way to open our hearts to situations that we never had to before. You know, with the crumbling of the nuclear family and the reconstituting of families, you have to accept.
We'll go on after the break with that one. My guest still is Bramadat, and we have just touched upon the topic of love, a very old, ancient code which still is around. It's driving bloodlines, it's driving everything, it's bringing two people together. It's a transformative power, it's what drives people in their daily existence. Is love as we know it all there is to know about love, or is there actually much more deeper understanding?
Well, first of all, what many people understand as being love is the neurotic chemistry that helps us through evolution. Let me explain. I said that we're programmed with our parents' images, patterns when we're very young, and then sometime around puberty we look at ourselves and say, uh-oh, does this mean that I have to be like her? And we choose at that point one of our parents to emulate, and the other one we hide inside ourselves. And we're never, ever going to be like that. And then the joke and the horror later on when we discover it is that who we are attracted to, chemically, when there's a chemical attraction, that person, the stronger the attraction, the greater that person is likely to be just like the person that you never wanted to be like. So you have this wonderful mirror in front of you of who you never wanted to be like. And thank God there's chemistry, you know, in the beginning. The chemistry puts you together with people that you would never logically choose if you really knew what that person was like.
There's like a veil, isn't there, sometimes, whereby you just don't know what's there.
That's right. That's right. It's hormones. You know, hormones are the same reason that women keep having babies, because we forget the pain. Anyway, so exactly. So you get together with someone, and then 6 months down the road, you start doing the work. And the work is where you do the same dances you saw your parents doing and go, oh, no, maybe I can do this differently. Well, what I'm seeing with people that I work with is that what's happening these days is that we get together with someone and have children and act like our mummies and daddies, and then go, I don't want to do this. And then we leave that relationship and then find someone with whom we can develop further and become who we truly are. That's part of, you know, the process of taking the pickets out of the playpen, is undoing the identification with the parents' beliefs and allowing us the freedom to truly become who we are.
I mean, I definitely think that religion has tried to really put that playpen around human emotions, and the fact that there is so much divorce and various other things going is because it is slowly disintegrating. The question is, does it have to be such a hard lesson? Because for society as a whole and for people as an individual, it does come with trauma. So is that just part of the lesson of life, or finding true love, or finding all of these things, or how do we approach it in a perhaps better way?
First of all, again, I don't think that anything is necessarily not right about the world. I think I am not a natural pessimist.
So give us the positive news.
I think that, well, first of all, our beliefs create our realities. And so if we have a choice what we're going to believe, why not believe something that revolves around beauty and harmony? And I believe that all of the institutions and organizations, including patriarchy, have all had their roles and their importance in our evolution and bringing us to places of sometimes intense suffering so that we can then decide to let it go. You know? When we're talking about identities, identifying with a tribe, a religion, that identity is essential to our survival. If you take a one-celled organism and you poke at it, it's going to run away, right? Because its identity is based in its membrane. That's the difference between the external world and the internal world. But a human being has an extremely complex identity and can be therefore threatened in so many different ways.
And we are moving away, again, from the playpen, whereby society traditionally, and some societies in the world still choose for this no one is left behind kind of framework, whereby two people are put together, the duality is made one, and is kind of like, to some extent, protected. The Western world seems to have abandoned that almost completely and is letting people just play out all over the field. So what I'm trying to find out is, like, what's the best and easiest way throughout all of these duality, playpen distribution kind of help again?
I think that we're okay. First of all, our belief structures our realities. Therefore, the world the life that I call around me is a reflection of what I have not yet understood about myself. And so that is one of the most important things, is becoming responsible in that way for the life around you. this is causing me pain and suffering. All right. What do I not understand about myself? Why have I called that into my life? What does that recall about what I learned when I was younger? The playpen analogy I use because I believe that we're at a place now where we can't stay in that infantile position in front of any form of authority. It's time that we really assume responsibility for our own divinity and capacity for co-creation of the universe.
Take up the challenge in a positive way and just go for it?
Well, if we don't, you know, again, because we're both particle and wave, we're being swept along in a process of evolution in any event. Whether we like it or not, we can try to just, you know, stay in one place, right? We can try that. But something is going to happen. I believe that as human beings we are evolving towards this oneness, and that if we try and fight that, we're going to call something into our lives. Illness, accident, whatever. We're going to call it into our lives, and that will stop us and require us to reflect.
And that's happening as well. Cancer is on a tremendous scale at the moment. Illnesses, allergies, literally mankind seems to be becoming allergic to the world. Again.
Isn't that an interesting thing, huh? Allergic to the world. Huh? It's because we're irritated with the state of the world as it is. Yes, and that... What's really interesting about my being here is that most people are promoting books, and I tell people not to read anymore. People will often ask me, okay, so what books can I read, you know, to help me out on this? I say, stop reading books. Go inside yourself. You are a treasure house. Each one of us is a treasure house of information. Everything we need is right here in this life, in this body. And particularly in this body. It's not looking outward into the cosmos and in finding fascinating, wonderful things, you know, to keep us busy up here. This is where it's about. The body, you were talking about the stone, the Grail as being a stone. In indigenous teachings in North America, it's recognized that matter holds information. And our bodies are created of molecules that we know have been in clouds and stars and in other beings. And so we're created of the earth in a very real way. We're created of the stars in a very real way. All of that is inside us in the physical body. The feminine divine has not been honored for a long time. And I believe that that is what is rising, so that masculine spirit-oriented spirituality is uniting with an understanding of the body and the earth as being not less than in any way.
So apart from the fact that the duality seems to be disintegrating, you're also saying actually the male principle is not perhaps disintegrating as such, but actually the female is kind of like
arising to become an equal partner.
So what's been happening between humans trying to find love for millennia, thousands of years, 40,000,
well,
perhaps
whether it's love
meters.
or sex or whatever, any form of duality, any form of definition of the other as something that I want,
possessing,
is a wanting of, is a cry for that oneness, for becoming whole, feeling whole. And I think that the feeling of wholeness we're moving to a place of feeling whole simply within ourselves.
So how far are we apart from that, do you think? There's lots of talk about 2012, all of these things, quite often with the aliens coming or the catastrophe which is going to unite us. It's again looking towards the others rather than taking charge of the situation ourselves and trying to do that as well. So,
wisdom keepers of the earth now, in all of the indigenous traditions of the earth, are doing several different things. They're going into safe places in the earth, often very high in altitude. They're doing a lot of ceremonial practices for earth healing, and as well as individual prayer and supplication for earth healing. But they're also teaching things to the unwashed masses that have previously only been taught to high initiates. The human body has become rewired, I believe. I think that we are able to carry a frequency that we were not able to carry before. That, you know, in the Bible, when people went, we could carry that now and still be in our bodies.
But it's the fact that daily existence is so much more intense than it was a few hundred years ago. Just the physical stress sometimes of having to cope with driving around Blackberries, this and that. You kind of like do wonder, like if you were to give this to a caveman, physically where he would be able to cope with that enormous amount of stress.
My kids are so amazing in the amount of information that they can process. And they're way, way, way beyond me in terms of their capacities to multitask, boys and girls, and in their quickness. I definitely, first of all, I expected them. I believed that they would surpass me, and therefore they did. We are evolving to a place where we are able to perceive oneness. What I see is the pineal gland opening. I see it opening like a flower. And it's, in a sense, the union. It's very similar to the bleeding heart in the center of the cross. You've got the forebrain and the hindbrain and the two hemispheres, and it's this, at the center of that. And as it opens, in the same way as the heart has to open, often through heartbreak, as that opens, we're able to put duality into oneness.
Now, we have 30 seconds. You have got 30 seconds to give one message to the reader, which is, or the viewer rather. You have got, what is the next step? What should we do, apart from not reading books?
Walk consciously on the earth.
And that's something which you've been trying to do because you have got a farm, you live with the animals, and I'm pretty sure people who come with allergy to you quickly see it disappearing. So Dawn, thank you very much for being on my show, and may you be an inspiration for us all, and may you continue to do your work for a very long period of time.
Thank you.
So I would like to thank Tim Wallace-Murphy and Dawn Bramadat for two wonderful interviews which have shown something of the yin and yang, and I'm happy to hand it over back to Phil Gardiner in the near future.